This conference will now be recorded.
All right, folks, so I'm going to back up a little bit here. So we are now live and being recorded. Hello, and thank you again for joining. My name is Xochitl Rodriguez Murillo. I am Deputy Secretary of Minority and Underrepresented Veterans at the California Department of Veterans Affairs. Thank you for joining us bright and early. Thank you to our partners and our staff here today. And of course, you, the viewers and our veteran community. So today we're going to present Immigration 101 Pathway to Citizenship workshop event. And the purpose behind this workshop is to give information to veterans out there and the veteran community about resources available for anyone in the veteran community in search of naturalization or citizenship services. So we'll go ahead and start today. I have my team helping out today. Jose, we'll move on to the next slide. All right, very good. So before we get started, just some housekeeping items. We will go through the presentation. Anyone out there who has questions, you're more than welcome to send them over throughout the presentation. We do have space reserved at the end of the presentation to take questions. We are also going to reserve some time for the presenters and the panelists to answer some questions after their respective presentations if they would like to do that. Otherwise, we'll have a Q&A at the end and we'll take up any questions you may have. Jose, go ahead and go on to the next slide, please. All right, so just to give you a little bit of background here on the Pathway to Citizenship program, since March of 2018, our Division of Minority and Underrepresented Veterans launched the Pathway to Citizenship program in partnership with the Governor's Office and Community Immigration Services. Since then, more than 170 veterans and their families have received assistance with citizenship and naturalization. The goal of such workshops is to provide free legal assistance to veterans seeking citizenship and naturalization services, and veterans will also have the opportunity to learn about other state benefits they have. All right, and as we all know, we are operating under COVID today, and ever since March, since the COVID outbreak. So we are happy to have expanded virtual outreach for not just our division, our whole agency and your respective departments out there. Jose, go ahead and, okay, go ahead and next slide. Thank you for that. All right. Okay, so I joined the department back in November of 2019. I have serviced prior to this 10 years in the Capitol, doing other areas, other functions in the legislative arena, most recently appointments for the Speaker of the Assembly. And so I joined Calvet as an Army veteran. I'm currently a sergeant in the Army Reserve. I'm an Operation Iraqi Freedom veteran. So it's a pleasure. I'm very happy to be here and be able to work for veterans and work with veterans, and very excited about all the opportunities that we have within our division. And so part of what we do here, let me take a minute to give you a feedback on our staff here today. We have our office technician, Matthew Laffey, joining us today, as well as Ricky Powell, program analyst, and Jose Ayon, another one of our program analysts. Our division grew this year, and we are very happy because that ensures that we're able to deliver services, information, and benefits to veterans. And so what we do within our division is that we ensure that all veterans, regardless of race, ethnic origin, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, have access to these services. And what that means for us is becoming culturally competent in the veteran arena and making sure that we're able to make a connection, a personal connection to veterans, and that veterans are feeling comfortable coming to us as Calvet, and we're here as a resource to help them get connected to their federal and state benefits. Thank you, Jose. Next slide. Very good. So outlined right now, what you see is a lineup of some of our programs. We work every day to be creative and innovative and find other program areas that we can reach out to, because we want to make sure that we're reaching all veterans, especially in the rural areas here in California, especially during this time when we have limited access to, maybe the internet, or we have trouble connecting with each other because of the virtual world. Very good. So today, as I said, we have our Pathway to Citizenship program in place. We are working on our Tribal Veterans Outreach program to identify the needs for tribal veterans. We have a Calvet LGBTQ inclusion program. It's a myriad of programs. We support other entities and organizations out there that work for the LGBTQ community, as we do for other program areas and other ethnic backgrounds. We just launched our Minority and Underrepresented Veterans Division roster. Folks, if you're out there, if you're seeing this link, please sign up to get more information. I know we have different listservs out there through Calvet, and we want to make sure that we're able to connect with you as a division. Jose, go ahead and next slide. All right, so here is our contact information to our division. You're more than welcome to email us anytime. So we have a team, that will get back to you within the 24 hours, and then you can reach we have our phone number up there, and you can also visit the website to view our programming and other information. Very good. So I want to thank our partners here today who are going to present. That is my direct information right there. You're always more than welcome to email me, more than welcome to call me. I'm here at your service. Very good. So I want to thank Janet Adams. She is with our California Transition Assistance Program here at Calvet, and she will be presenting today, as well as Annette Walliver. She's our local interagency network coordinator out of the Fresno area. And for our main presentation on legal services today, we have Javier Vasquez from the Education and Leadership Foundation, as well as Veronica Garcia from the Immigration Legal Resource Center. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start with a CalTAP overview. And CalTAP is our California Transition Assistance Program. Janet Adams started with the Department of Veterans Affairs in 2017 as the Department Training Officer in Human Resources Division. She is currently a training coordinator on the California Transition Assistance Program in our Veteran Services Division. Janet grew up in Sacramento area and attended California State University of Chico, where she earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in Organizational Communications with an emphasis in Leadership Studies. In her current role as a CalTAP training coordinator, Janet provides information about earned benefits and resources available to veterans, service members, and their families throughout the state of California. She provides this information during outreach events at military installations and higher education campuses throughout the state, as well as video conferencing platforms. Beyond her passion for serving veterans, Janet has continued to volunteer her time as a Pan-Hellenic advisor within the Greek system. You can correct me if I got that wrong, Janet, at the University of California, Davis. Thank you, alma mater, since 2012. In this role, Janet helps plan and execute philanthropic events to raise money for various foundations. Janet, welcome. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much for that warm introduction, Sochi. As Sochi said, my name is Jana. I'm on the CalTAP team here at Calvet, and I am just so excited to be a part of this webinar today to give you guys all this just great information so you have it in your back pocket if you ever need it. And I do want to thank you all for taking the time and spending your morning with us. So if you could go to the next slide and I'll get started. So what I'd like to do today is just give you guys a brief introduction on what CalTAP does and kind of what our goals are. And then I'm going to go over some of our benefits, and that way you guys have a better idea of what benefits that you guys can access. So what is the CalTAP program? Now, the goal of CalTAP is to connect veterans, service members, and their families to the benefits that they've earned through their military service. And the way we do this is through giving information through 4 different pathways. These pathways are core curriculum, education, employment, and entrepreneurship. Now, all this information can be found right on our website. Next slide, please. So what you're going to want to do is you can just Google Calvet. We should be the first option that appears every time. Go ahead and next slide. And this is the website that you'll see once you do search for us. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom when you're on our website, next slide. You will see, this is what you'll see when you scroll all the way down. You're going to see a link to the Veterans Resource Book. And I believe you guys got this in a PDF copy in an email yesterday or sometime this week. But this resource book is like gold. It has all of your benefits listed out, so much information. It also has this handy dandy 1-800 number right on the back. You guys can call that at any time with any questions. If you need more clarification on something, you need to find a CVSO, a link, anything like that, you can give a call to this 1-800 number. Currently, right now, since we're not working in our headquarters office, our links or our local interagency network coordinators will be answering those phone calls. And then they'll either be answering your questions or they will get you to somebody who can answer that question. So your Veterans Resource Book, you have a PDF copy, and then it's also online as well. Next slide, please. And this is what it looks like when you do click on the book. Go ahead and next slide. All right, so how to access the all the CalTap stuff. So once you're on the website, you can go ahead and click on the CalTap button right there under the laptop. Next slide. And this is what you'll see. You're going to see those 4 pathways that I had mentioned just a couple minutes ago, as well as the service provider pathway. We're not going to really go into that one too much today, but it is great information. So you can go ahead and click on that. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Oh, well, how do you use CalTap Online? Next slide, please. So once you're on that website, you can click on one of the pathways. For the purpose of this webinar, we're going to go ahead and just click on the core curriculum pathway. And next slide. And this is what you're going to see. Lots of different module information, lots of things to click on. This is going to house all of just information held with links and different websites, maybe different forms that you need to fill out. Go ahead, next slide. For this webinar, we'll go ahead and click on the California benefits. Everybody wants to know what their California benefits are, of course. Next slide. Once you click on that, this is what you're going to see. We encourage you to check out our website. There's always going to be videos. Watch these videos because it's going to have great information in them. Now, if you were on this website, you knew a specific benefit that you wanted to access, you could click on it. They're all listed right there. I know it's a little bit small to see, but it looks like what's circled is the actual, the basic overview of the California benefits. Next slide. When you click on that, this is what you'll see. It's just how it's laid out, all the different benefit information. It's also going to be in your resource book as well. Next slide, please. So, biggest question of the year is always, what are my California benefits? Next slide. This is where you'll find the information. It's located on our, you can go to the next slide. It's located in our resource book. Looks like it starts on page 13. That's what it says. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And then this is kind of how the information would be laid out if you looked at it online. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and give you guys just a very quick overview of what some of these benefits are, plant some seeds in your head if you guys had some questions. And then if you need further clarification or if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email us. All my contact information will be at the end, or you can call that 1-800 number. So college tuition fee waiver. This is like the best one that we offer. What this does is this waives all fees and tuition for all public schools in California. So this is going to include your UCs, your CSUs, and your California community colleges. This is going to take you from your general education all the way at the very beginning, all the way up through your doctorate if you want to go that far. All of the eligibility and requirements can be found either online or in the resource book. I encourage you to check them out if you have more questions. Next slide, please. So there are programs through the DMV that veterans can access and utilize. We have programs that that we can make it so that any California motorist can honor our veterans or the military by ordering and honoring veterans license plate. And information regarding all the different insignias that you can choose and what all the fees and all the requirements are all online or in the resource book, of course. There is also a vehicle registration fee waiver, and again, you can find all of those eligibility requirements in the resource book or online. And then also, what's really great is that you guys can actually get the word veteran printed on your driver's license or your California ID. This is great for things like if you, are going somewhere, you can always ask, oh, do you give a military discount? Oh, yes, I do. Do you approve? Oh, it's on your ID instead of having to carry your 214. Next slide, please. In order to do that, to get that on your license, you can go straight back to our the front of our website, and you can click on the California driver's license just to the right, or I'm sorry, to the left of the Caltech link. But you click on that, it'll give you all the different directions on where you can find it. If you have more questions, feel free to email us, call us, and we'll walk you through the process. Next slide, please. So there are lots of benefits if you guys enjoy outdoor activities. I know I do, so this is a really great one. Disabled veterans may be eligible to receive a fishing and hunting license at a reduced annual fee. And depending on what your disability rating is, you may be eligible to get a state parks pass without any fees at all, which is so great. I do recommend checking the eligibility requirements online or in the resource book. Next slide, please. So Calvet offers a few different beneficial tax programs. The first benefit that we provide is the property tax exemption. This is for the home of a disabled veteran or of an unmarried spouse of a deceased disabled veteran. There's also the business license, tax, and fee exemption for honorably discharged veterans. And there's also a disabled veteran business enterprise program for veterans who want to start their own business and then sell goods to the state of California. And all of that information, again, can be found on our website or more information in the resource book. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Okay, this is great. So Calvet has their own home loans program, and this program is absolutely fantastic. If you are at all thinking about buying a home in the future, or even right now, if you've already gotten started with the process, I recommend that A, you get excited, and B, you just check out this program. It's just more information. Check it out. See if it's a better program than what you're already into. It's different than what the VA program offers and can be bundled together. I'm not going to go into much more detail on it, but I can always give you the name and the contact number of someone that you can call to get this information from. Brad Pedersen, he works for Calvet. He is an amazing resource, and he can answer any questions for you. I can always give you his contact info later. Next slide, please. So this is exciting too. Calvet has a women's veteran program that provides information, advocacy, outreach, and support to our California women veterans and their families. This program also partners with the California Women Veterans Leadership Council, which provides a statewide structure where women veterans can share information and collaborate through just different counties about what's going on statewide. If you want to go to the next slide, I want to tell you that if you go onto our website and onto the Women's Veteran Division program, you can actually click right there on the roster. Once you click on that, you can sign up with your email address and you can get email about just information that's going on in your community or throughout the state. Next slide, please. As Sochi kind of already explained, Calvet also has a minority veterans program. This program also provides information, advocacy, outreach, and support to our minority veterans and their families. This program helps to provide unnaturalized veterans in California with citizenship and naturalization services. Why you guys are all here today, to get lots of great information. Just like our women's program, there is also a roster that you can sign up for. If you want to go ahead and go to the next slide, it's located on the website, much like the last roster I showed you right here. So you can go on the website and then click on that. It's great to sign up for the roster because you'll get information on everything that's going on in the communities. So next slide, please. So Calvet has 8 veterans homes scattered all over California. All the cities are listed right there. We offer 6 levels of care for our veterans. They are going to range from independent living, memory care, assisted living, and also skilled nursing care. Great facilities, all of the requirements, if there's a wait list, all that kind of information is going to be located on the website. And if you have any further questions, please call us because we want to get you hooked up with that. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Now, beyond the 9 national cemeteries in California, There are also 3 state cemeteries. They're kind of located everywhere in the state. There's one on the coast in Seaside area. There's one up north in Reading, and then there's one more centrally located in Yountville. Again, all the requirements, eligibility for these cemeteries would be either on our website or in the resource book. Next slide, please. Oh, and also when you're on the website, you can, this is where you would find all the information for cemeteries and burials. You can see information on state cemeteries, national cemeteries, and then also the benefits as well. Next slide, please. So lastly, I just want to go over 3 common veteran websites. I'm sure you guys have already seen all of these, probably know them by heart, but I want to just go over them just in case you haven't seen them. Next slide. So the first one is a big one. I'm sure you guys all know it. It is va.gov. It'll come up in a second here. Oh, there it is. All right. So this website is going to let you access a whole lot of information. You can see your benefits, your healthcare. You can click on a whole array of things. So go to this website, check it out, va.gov. Next slide, please. Okay, the next website is eBenefits, ebenefits.va.gov. This website is actually a collaboration between the VA and the Department of Defense. You're going to be able to manage lots of different aspects of your healthcare, different things like your prescription refills if you need it, maybe checking different VA appointments that you could have. There's also things like applications for disability compensation and also your education benefits. Who doesn't want to know about what their how much more benefit they have? And then you can also manage different benefits such as compensation claim status, or if you've received any VA letters, they'll go there too. Next slide, please. So the last website I just want to mention is My Health eVet. It's found at myhealth.va.gov. This is just another really great resource, another great website. I'm sure you guys have probably already been here, but you can manage all your healthcare. You can click on things, pharmacy, appointments, messages, health records. So lots of great stuff that you probably most of you are already accessing. So again, I know this was lots of information overload. If you want to go to the next slide, I think that should probably be my contact information. But like I said, I know this was a lot of information overload for you guys. If you need any further clarification on anything I was talking about, any of our benefits, please go ahead and give us a call. If you want to jump to the next slide, should be my contact info. Yep, there it is right there. That is my desk line, although I'm not at my desk right now, but please email me or call that 800 number because that's going to get to me. And it was a pleasure being here today. Again, thank you, Sochi, for the warm introduction. And I hope you guys can just take lots and lots of information today. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Jana. All right, folks. So we got a whole presentation and all the benefits out there available to you. As Jana suggested, a lot of this stuff is use that reference, that resource book, use the website, whether you're, a hard copy or you like going on the internet a lot more for this information. I like to do both, but start with highlighting those benefits that are of interest to you and take it from there. We have a motivated team here at Calvet, and so we want to make sure we get you the help you need. All right. So next up, we have Annette Walliver. Annette Walliver is a United States Army veteran who served in the Army Security Agency, Fuel Station West Berlin from 1975 to 78. She trained as an electronic intelligence analyst. She worked with allied forces to coordinate and communicate highly classified intel to the United States intelligence community. Following military service, she used her GI Bill and obtained a bachelor's degree in economics from California State University, Fresno. Annette was a retail executive for 28 years and served as the director of price management for Gottschalk's department stores for 24 years. Annette was one of the initial staff hired for Operations Welcome Home at the Employment Development Department and later became an EDD Veterans Representative for 8 years. Annette currently works for the California Department of Veterans Affairs, serving 8 counties from Stanislaus to Kern, and is stationed at the Fresno County Veterans Service Office. As a local interagency network coordinator, she is a veteran advocate and resource assisting veterans and their families connected to their California state and federal benefits. Welcome, Annette, and thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for that introduction. I'm so happy to be here. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit. I don't like that big long name. Just call me a link. Basically, we're a field rep. And in the next map, you're going to see exactly how that Calvet has divided the state into 8 regions. Next slide, please. So I have 7 counterparts throughout the state of California. And as you can see, it's color coded. I'm the one in the purple, the middle one. I'm basically on Highway 99 when I'm traveling. So, and I'm probably the only link who can put a destination in my GPS and it says go straight for 140 miles. So it's pretty much a straight shot for me. So I cover 8 counties, Stanislaus and Kern, and I serve about 144,000 veterans. Links work with federal, state, county, and local agencies to assist veterans. We are the other VA, as I say, because some people will say, oh, they want information about VA medical. We are California Department of Veterans Affairs. We can assist you with federal information, and as a service-connected veteran, I've used most of those resources. But we're here to talk about your state benefits. And that's what we are, the experts, subject matter experts, in either giving you the information or getting you someone who can give you the information. Next slide, please. So we work with current and prior service members and their families. Next slide. And we carry out the Calvet mission of outreach, or as we're doing now, inreach, and we ensure that we locate, educate, assess, and refer veterans to those service providers in their areas that they need assistance from. So we're there to make referrals and do that soft handoff. Everyone that I make a referral to, I actually have great interaction with, network with, and feel very comfortable with handing off you to that person. We assist in local emergencies. We might be, as of 2 years ago, when they had the fires in Paradise, some of my counterparts were deployed to those areas to help veterans, whether it was to get paperwork, maybe that was lost in the fire, to assist with shelter and food or housing. Also, if they had a Calvet home loan, it was to assist them with the paperwork. And currently, right now, what we're doing as a team, we haven't been deployed yet to the fires, which have been severe here in California, but we are, since the corporate, I'm sorry, I was in retail for 28 years, headquarters office is their telecommuting. We're actually receiving the calls, us 8 links that normally go to the 1-800 Calvet number. So I'm getting calls from all over the state of California, and it doesn't matter whether I'm getting a call from Los Angeles or from Eureka. I know that I can get them the information either from my own resources, my community resources, or contacting the link in that region who is a subject matter expert. So one way or the other, we're going to get you the information. And we work very closely together. We all have different skill sets, and we rely on each other for information. And we also provide leadership and advocacy to local communities. So by participating in the past, it's been stand-ups or stand-downs, job fairs. Right now, we're doing a lot of things through the media here. We want to make sure that veterans are aware of their current benefits, and they're also aware of any updates that come across. I'm the poster child for, I think, the benefit connection, as I call it, because I separated in 1978, used my GI Bill, used my Calvet home loan, but I wasn't aware of a lot of the other benefits. And it wasn't until 11 years ago when I started working for the state of California that I found out I could apply for compensation. So now I'm a service-connected disability veteran. I didn't know I could enroll in VA healthcare, and I am, and that's my main provider. I use My Healthy Vet to order my medications. So there's a lot of benefits. You don't know what you don't know, and that's part of the program that the links do. We want to make sure that you get to know what you need to know and what you can benefit from. Next slide, please. So we're going to connect you with the agencies that we work with. Next slide, please. we're going to connect you with those agencies that we really partner with. In fact, for employment and training, the Employment Development Department actually has dedicated staff that is a grant funded by DOL vets that work exclusively with veterans to assist with their job search, whether it's resumes, interview skills, sending them job leads, referring them to employers. And I was an EDD vet rep myself for 8 years, so I know how valuable that program is, because when I was unemployed for my first time 11 years ago, and I went to EDD, to file for my unemployment, they said, do you want to speak to a vet rep? And I never heard of such a thing. And I'd never really thought of myself as a veteran, which a lot of women don't. I used to say I was in the Army, and it wasn't until I said I am a veteran that I was empowered with all these additional benefits. So when I went to file for my employment, I met with a veteran representative within 6 months, because there is veterans preference in the state of California. I was working for EDD as a veteran representative. The EDD offices are typically located in the America's Job Center of California. The AJCCs usually have all the tools that EDD uses to assist veterans. Most of the facilities right now I'm talking about, they're telecommuting, they're doing appointments. You call in and make an appointment. You might be able to go into the AJCC and file for unemployment, disability, or paid family leave. You can access their job boards, their computers, work on your resume, and also the AJCCs. If you are collecting unemployment, you might be eligible to get training at no cost to you. So you can get trained while you're collecting your unemployment, which could extend your unemployment benefits. So give them a call, and like I said, they can make an appointment to see you. And if you don't know where they're at, if you go into careeronestop.org, put in your zip code, it's going to show you the AJCC near you, the veteran representative, if there's one there, and their contact information. California state benefits, that's what Calvet is all about. We're always looking to make sure you're aware of your benefits, but we're also looking ways to improve benefits for veterans. But it's the county veteran service offices. These guys are the boots on the ground, as I call them. I'm co-located in the county veteran service office here in Fresno, and I see what they do day in and day out, and that's claims typically. So they are also making appointments. Leave a voice message, they'll get back to you, make an appointment, but you still can file for claims, compensation, assistance, if you have DMV information, paperwork, the college tuition fee waiver. So make sure you contact them, and I recommend them specifically for claims. They do 50% of the claims in the state of California. They filed my compensation claim. I have a great deal of faith in them. Excuse me. Healthcare, as I said, healthcare. I'm enrolled in VA healthcare, my primary healthcare service. If you want to find out if you're eligible, you can either go online to their website, and you can either apply online, or you can call one of the local VA centers or clinics in your area. They are doing things remotely, once again, like the VA and the vet center. They are taking patients on a appointment only or critical or urgent care need basis. So I know my last doctor's appointment, I did it through telehealth, which is kind of great. You can just get up in your jammies and sit down and talk to your doctor. You can get your prescriptions. So it's a great service. And the vet centers, they are open, but once again, only they do a triage typically before they will see anyone to see if it's an urgent or critical care need. So these facilities are marvelous. Please take advantage of them. If you don't think you're eligible but would like to be, just call them. You have nothing to lose by finding out. Next slide, please. So what's the difference between Calvet and VA? VA is a federal benefit, as I said. It used to purchase a house anywhere in the United States. VA is a loan guarantee, not a loan. And the Calvet is a state benefit, which funds all the loans through the state tax-exempt bonds at no cost to the taxpayer. The thing that you can do for either one of these, you're going to get a certificate of eligibility. That way you can get a VA home loan or a Calvet home loan. Each of them have their advantages. VA, you can do multi like duplex or fourplexes, live in one and rent the others out. Calvet, you have to be the primary resident for the entire time, but you can get a mobile home, mobile home, manufactured home, single family dwelling, condo. So they each have their own benefits. So if you need a certificate of eligibility, you can contact me. Typically, all I need is a application form, a request for the eligibility, and a DD form 214. And whatever you decide to do, you can go either the VA or the Calvet home loan. Next slide, please. So this is my contact information. Here's how you can reach me. I have my cell phone with me all the time. If you need any information whatsoever, you can contact me or email me, and I'll be happy to get you the information. If I don't know, I know somebody who does know. So thank you so much, and thank you for your service, and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Annette. Folks, as you heard it, Annette is our link in the Fresno area. Please take advantage of these services. You have a good team back there, a strong backbone to get the work done for you. All right. So we are going to dive in now into the presentation pertaining to the legal service providers and the overview of Immigration 101. And joining us today, we have Javier Vasquez from the Education and Leadership Foundation. Very good. So Javier joined the Education and Leadership Foundation in 2015 and is a DOJ partial accredited representative and director of immigration services. Prior to joining ELF, Javier worked in the protection unit at the Consulate of Mexico in Fresno, facilitating legal services to Mexican nationals. Javier earned his bachelor's degree in political science from California State University, Fresno, and recently completed the Pathway to Law School certification at Fresno City College. As a Cal Law scholar, Javier's goal is to become an immigration attorney. As an immigrant who grew up in Stockton, Javier strives to use his legal experience to work directly with the diverse immigrant communities of the Central Valley. Javier, welcome. Please extend my thank you to Raul Moreno, your Chief Executive Officer, and we appreciate the partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Xochitl. Thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar. I will be talking about just general services that we offer throughout the state of California. But my colleague, Veronica, she's going to be diving more into what the actual process to become a citizen for veterans is. Just because we do cover a lot of more services where families and families of veterans and veterans can benefit. So thank you again for being here. This is important information. These are free services that are put for everyone in the state, especially those who have served the country. So we want to be informative and we want to send people to the right resources that are out there in the state. If you're not from the Central Valley, I will give you information on where you can seek services. But if not, we will be happy to assist you with anything we can. Obviously, COVID has enabled us to actually, do more work virtually. So, we can help you in any way possible. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. So about us, so we're a nonprofit organization. We actually began in 2007. We have been involved with the documented community, especially undocumented students who were struggling to go to college. So we've been doing a lot of college-related activities for undocumented students. But in 2012, when DACA became a reality, we started doing more DACA work with young immigrants. So in 2012, we started our own small clinic in which we assist a lot of DACA communities here in the Central Valley, especially in the Fresno area. We have assisted over 22,000 individuals with their DACA services. And as the demand and as we were starting to learn more about the dynamics of immigration law here in the Central Valley and the struggles and the lack of service providers, we started to expand our services. But here at the Education Leadership Foundation, apart from immigration services, we also provide professional development, seminars, leadership development, professional development internships, scholarships, and volunteer opportunities through collaboration with other organizations. So that's pretty much our expertise when it comes to our nonprofit sector. We can go to the next slide, please. So within that, I am in charge of our immigration department, or as I call it, our immigration unit. And our immigration unit is called Immigration Integration Help Center. So in 2015, our organization received recognition from the Department of Justice, and 11 of our staff members are partially accredited reps. So this means that we are eligible to represent people before immigration. In this case, DHS, Department of Homeland Security. There's two types of accreditation. One is partial, one is full, and these are for folks that maybe they want to do some work around immigration, but they don't want to go to law school. So the way the Department of Justice gives this recognition and accreditation is by providing free or low-cost immigration services. That's why it's only given to nonprofits. So a lot of us are working here want to go to law school, but some of them don't want to go to law school because it's expensive, and certain costs may increase as you go to law school. But this is a way for people who don't want to go to law school to actually represent people in practice immigration law. So this is the only actual accreditation members from nonprofits can get to actually practice immigration law without becoming an attorney. So 11 of us are accredited here at ELF, and we have assisted in a variety and a big range of immigration benefits throughout the state. So our recent immigration workshop we hosted was in San Diego for veterans. So we had about, I can't remember the number, but it was around 30 families that showed up to be serviced. And we just recently we actually had an interview with one of our veterans who just became a citizen 2 weeks ago. So right now it's taking a little time. Things are obviously because of COVID taking a little more time, and it's taking USCIS time for them to review these applications. But we'll dive into that information once Veronica gets to hers and understand the process. But obviously, immigration laws are different; they're complex. So each case is handled in its own way. So that's why we treat every case different. There's always this thing about, oh, it's just because I heard from my friend that this and that. Yes, but each case has its own theory. Each case needs to be treated in a way that certain facts or fact patterns applied in different ways. So for our office, the recognition and accreditation of our staff members was a great accomplishment, because now we can provide services low cost or sometimes free if we have grants that we receive. But especially here in the Valley, there's not a lot of legal service providers. I'm talking about 5-6 years ago, there was only 2 organizations that were providing services. Now there's at least about 12 organizations that provide services. And obviously we collaborate with local immigration attorneys. We have built partnerships to be able to serve people, especially those who have pretty straightforward cases as they move on with their immigration matter. But there's those that get complicated, especially those who have criminal backgrounds or prior immigration violations. Those tend to have a little more they tend to be a little more hectic, so we try to refer those cases that are more complex to our local trusted immigration attorneys. And as I mentioned, our members who receive this accreditation are granted a period of 3 years. So that means every 3 years we have to renew our members' accreditation. And with this, we have to take courses on immigration law, and obviously immigration changes on a weekly basis. Sometimes, or we have to be updated with all the changes that are coming from the Department of Homeland Security. So it's a constant battle in terms of catching up with the latest news, because as changes in policy happen, also there's changes within the immigration law. So we have to adhere with all the policies. We have to have constant training. So this is the beauty about immigration. We help people, but at the same time, we try to we catch up with the latest on what's going on with the immigration world. Next slide, please. Next slide. Oh, there. Okay. So this is important just because we live in California. California has given a lot of money to the immigrant community the past 3 years, and obviously to find other services. But just last year, the state of California allocated $42 million in funding to qualify nonprofit organizations in the state of California to service families for different purposes. One of them is to assist individuals with DACA services. So those that want to renew their DACA. The other ones are other immigration remedies. Other immigration remedies, the state defines them as any immigration benefit that can be submitted either through a family member or by a self-petition. So those are, let's say if you're married to a U.S. citizen and your wife doesn't have any legal status, but you want to go through the process. So those cases are considered other immigration remedies for families. And one of the most popular one, it's naturalization. California is one of the biggest states in the country that has a lot of legal permanent residents who have not become naturalized citizens. And with that also, there's a lot of veterans who have not naturalized. So that's why it's key that there's organizations that are funded throughout the state to provide these services for free, especially if your case is pretty straightforward and has no legal barriers or any criminal history that may affect someone's case. That's why it's important to seek trusted immigration providers or trusted immigration attorneys that can provide these services and that are well known and that can actually represent you and find out about your case, especially if it's a complex one. Through this funding, we provide free consultations. Anyone that has lived in the state or currently is in the state can access these services for free. Again, there might be some funding constraints, but obviously as a veteran, you get to access these services for free at all times. There's also, even though we don't do this, but there's also funding for removal defense and immigrant protection for unaccompanied minors. We don't do that because we don't do removal defense here in our organization. We only do what we call immigration affirmative services, meaning that we send cases to immigration, but we don't do court representation. We do work with other organizations and local attorneys in providing information and referring cases, especially if they're going through removal proceedings. I know also deportations for veterans have been something that has happened in the past years recently. So that's also, we try to connect people with legal providers that are taking these cases, especially in the area of Los Angeles, San Francisco, and parts of San Diego. So again, if you're going through immigration removal proceedings, they might be help for you. And as I mentioned, the state allocated this current fiscal year $42 million to qualify nonprofit organizations throughout the state. So that link, if you click and you're from San Diego, you can go to the San Diego area and it's going to give you a list of service providers. You can call them, ask them for an appointment if you're trying to get service. But if no, here at the Education and Leadership Foundation, again, COVID has allowed us to be more creative and actually do a lot of remote services where we can assist you. So if you don't feel comfortable looking for other organization and it's something we can do here at our office, we'd be happy to assist you. Next slide, please. So these are some of the Central Valley grantees this past fiscal year that got money to pretty much represent people in the service I just mentioned. So one of our biggest partners is the UFW Foundation. They have 6 offices throughout the state. They have 3 here in the Central Valley, 1 in Salinas. Actually, they have 1 in Phoenix, and they try to open 1 up north by the Stockton, Modesto area. So I know they're a big organization. They're one of our biggest partners. Before we got our funding directly through the state, we were subcontractors with the UFW Foundation. So we work together, we work closely because they're one of our biggest, they're one of the biggest organizations in the Central Valley providing services. So any of these organizations can provide you with services, and these are organizations that receive money from the state to do this. So again, as Education Leadership Foundation, Centro La Familia Advocacy Services, they're specialized more in victim-based services in the Central Valley. So they do a lot of U visas, they do a lot of refugee services, they do a lot of housing for families who don't have homes. The local college here, the San Joaquin College of Law, they also have a immigration clinic. They provide a lot of services. They take some remote defense cases, but again, pretty much all of us do the same things, except for things like removal defense. But El Concilio in Stockton, the Fresno Center for Native Americans, Youth Street Leaders, the organizations down in Bakersfield, World Relief in Modesto, Proteus, and Faith in the Valley. So again, all this, their information can be found on the link I just mentioned on our previous slide. But again, we can always find ways to connect you, or we can you can come to our office and do a Zoom or telephonic consultation. So we'll be happy to assist you. Next slide, please. Okay, so within our Immigration Service Center, next slide, please. We have the these are more of our these are some of our most popular services that we offer. Can you go to the next one, please? So again, as I mentioned, with the funding that we get from the state, we're able to provide free services under this category. So anyone who's seeking DACA services to renew the DACA, I know we have a lot of DACA recipients who are married to service members, men and women, also who are veterans. So a lot of them come to our office and they get either referred by Calvet or just, if they're seeking services, we provide this for free. As I mentioned, Naturalization is one of our biggest programs here. We're part of a national campaign called the New Americans Campaign, where we seek to naturalize over 500 people on a yearly basis. So that's a lot of work that we do with other orgs here in the Central Valley and across the country. But here in the Central Valley, we do collaborate with other organizations that I just mentioned in trying to naturalize over 500 or 600 new Americans each year. And apart from that, we help, each organization does work with certain ethnic groups. I know the Fresno Center for Native Americans, they do a lot of work with the Southeast Asian community. So again, depending on your expertise, we try to connect you with partners who have expertise within ethnic or cultural barriers that may arise. Application for citizenship, for certificate of citizenship. So a lot of people who become citizens and have children who are legal permanent residents, they are able to pretty much extend their citizenship rights to their children, and they may apply for a citizenship certificate. Obviously, things change if they're not over, if they're over 18. But this is a process we call derivation of naturalization. So if you're a parent, you have legal, and your children are not born here or they're born abroad, and if you become a citizen and they're under 18, they might be able to get citizenship without going through this whole naturalization process. As I mentioned, we provide just general consultations on cases. So if you call and you have questions about your specific case, we want to be able to set up an appointment with you through phone or through Zoom to consult your case, get the legal facts, and see what you're eligible for or what questions you have or how things may affect you. Especially, again, as I mentioned, immigration laws change very often right now, we want to make sure that your case does not have any legal barriers, or if there's legal barriers, what do we do to overcome them? As I mentioned, other immigration remedies. People who are victims of crime may apply for a U visa, adjustment of status. So people who are here in the country already, they might be able to get their green cards without leaving the United States to go to a consulate abroad and get their papers there. So there's ways for them if they qualify to do here in the country. VAWA, Victims Against Violence Women's Act. So those are people, or women or men, actually both, who are battered by a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse. Sort of like a U visa, but in this case, it's if the victim was harmed by a legal permanent resident or citizen, they can seek immigration remedies through VAWA. Removal LPR conditions. So a lot of people who get married and they have not been married for more than 2 years, immigration will give them a green card with conditions. So after they turn 2 years, they need to remove those conditions. If they don't remove those conditions, they might remove that person. So again, it's very important that if you have any immigration related questions, that you consult with an attorney or an accreditor representative who has the expertise on each matter. So, and one of the most popular one, to be honest, here in the Valley, it's parole in place. So parole in place It's special travel permit who is given to parents, spouses, or children of military members. So let's say I'm in the military, I'm in the army, and my parents are undocumented, but because they crossed or they came to the United States without legal status, or what we call without the proper documents, they, as a son, I'm able to petition them through advance parole and get them what we call a parole in place or a special permit for them to be admitted into the country. Once that permit gets approved, and those cases are usually handled at the local USCIS offices, I will be able to petition them without them leaving the country. So again, there's different ways family members of veterans or members right now in the armed forces can seek. So and obviously with that we do a lot of waivers. Things get complicated, especially if there's criminal history or prior immigration violations are a big one within a lot of immigrant families. So waivers means just pardons that usually immigration grants if they fall within certain circumstances. So there's immigration that's complex. So it's a very important that your case is treated in a very serious note, just like any other situation. Within the community, we provide know your rights and public charge presentation. So these are things that obviously with the whole immigration situation right now and President Trump cracking on illegal immigration, we've been doing a lot of know your rights presentations to people to exercise their immigration, their rights, I'm sorry, in case they're being arrested or taken into custody by ICE agents. So, and recently public charge has been on the news. Again, Trump administration making it a little difficult for families or immigrants to come to the United States. So there's certain public charge situations that may apply for someone who wants to become a legal permanent resident. So we do a lot of this throughout the valley, so people are aware, especially if they're getting benefits throughout the state of California or any other state in the U.S. We provide free immigration clinics. So again, we partner with non-legal partners throughout the valley to provide these clinics. Just like we did in San Diego, we had one in Watsonville about 2 years ago. We had a few here in Fresno. So we'll continue to provide these clinics. Obviously, once COVID goes away, hopefully soon, we're able to go to your hometown and provide these services for free. You don't have to travel to Fresno, but we're happy to serve anyone throughout the state. And then, as I mentioned, collaboration with private attorneys on deportation cases, that's something we do, just because, again, immigration law, it's a very complex matter. It can go from a simple case to a very complex case where a family is facing deportation. So, yep. Next slide, please. Again, free immigration clinics and informational workshops. These are some of our way for you to contact us. We can schedule a free consultation through Zoom, telephonic, and in person. When I say in person, that's if you absolutely need to come. But if there's no way for you to access a phone or through a computer access, you may still come to in person. Obviously, we have to follow all the CDC guidelines. Make sure you wear a mask. You have not been exposed. We'll give you, if you don't have a mask, we'll give you one here. But we try to do everything through Zoom or phone before we get to the last one, which is for you to come in person. But again, there's ways to work around with you and just to make sure we accommodate you. Also, if you have any disability, again, we try to accommodate you, especially because people need to sign some documents or they need to sign some release to get information. So again, depending on your necessities, we'll try to accommodate you. You can call our office, make an appointment. Again, in the future, hopefully, if you want us to go to your local community or if you're part of an organization, we can arrange something and provide informational sessions or just have clinics throughout the state. But one of our permanent clinics that we have, it's in Delano. There's a big community there of Southeast Asian community, a lot of Filipinos there. So we've been doing a lot of work around Southeast Asian communities in the last 2 years. So that's one of our permanent clinics. We go there once a month, obviously following the proper CDC guidelines. And these are open air clinics. They're not inside the building. So again, we're just trying to accommodate to the new modalities we're going to be encountering. So hopefully we get the vaccine soon, so we don't have to go through this. I think there's two more slides, and I think they're just pictures, but next one. And this is our contact information. We have a bunch of information on our website, so it's www.education-leadership.org. Our office line, it's the 559-291-5428. Our informational line, where you just need to get simple information or you don't know where to go, you can call that number. My colleague will answer and give you instructions on how to proceed. We're always posting things on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, or you can also be part of our texting campaign. Just text help at 555-888, or if you're a Spanish speaker, you can just text ayuda to the same number, and it's gonna get you into our texting campaign. We try to send text informational text every week, and you can give this information to families, or if you need it, you can contact us. But yeah, next one. And these are just pictures of some of our events that we had. Again, a permanent cleaning in Delano with the California Farm Worker Foundation. The last picture, that's a picture that we took in San Diego with one of our veterans who we assisted in one of our workshops. And then the other ones were with the head of the consulate here in Fresno, California. Again, we'll continue to develop partnerships with any organization that service different immigrant communities or any groups like Calvet. So again, we're here to build partnership, make them stronger with the same goal in helping our immigrant families and those who can benefit from immigration services. And with that, I conclude my presentation. So I guess we'll have questions at the end if people have specific questions. Right, Xochitl?
Right, we'll have questions at the end. I don't know if we've received any, Jose, if you can, on your end, if you can tell us if you've received any questions at this point, let us know. I think we're taking a tally on our end.
Yes, so far we have 2 questions. Again, if we can save it towards the end, we can just give the questions to the respective presenters and we can answer it at the end if possible.
Perfect, that works. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jose. Thank you very much, Javier. Folks, you heard it. 42 million was granted for these services through the California Department of Social Services. Javier presented his contact information, so it'll be available to you in the PowerPoint via email that we'll send to you. We'll also provide this email following this presentation. On our Minority and Underrepresented Veterans Division page, we also have the link to the Department of Social Services, to where you can find the list of service providers. So if anything that you missed here, any information, loop back around to us, whether to Javier, to our division, our Calvet staff, we will help you out. Very good. So I'm now going to move on to Veronica Garcia, who's also going to continue on with the presentation for legal services to the veteran community. And as we heard in this first portion, right, there's services available to families, to veterans and their families, so that we're not, so we don't feel like we're stuck in one place and that there's only limited services. Very good. So Veronica Garcia joined the Immigration Legal Resource Center in December 2017 as a San Joaquin Valley Law Fellow. Prior to joining ILRC, Veronica completed an Equal Justice Works Fellowship at the Centro Legal de la Raza as a DACA/DAPA Emerson Fellow. Veronica is a graduate of Howard University School of Law, and during law school, she interned at various immigrant rights organizations, including Kids in Need of Defense and New York Legal Aid. Additionally, Veronica was recognized by the Hispanic Bar Association of Washington, D.C. for her commitment to the advancement of the Hispanic community by being awarded the inaugural HBA-DC Foundation Scholarship. As an immigrant who grew up in Oakland, California, Veronica strives to use her legal education and experience working directly with immigrant communities. Welcome, Veronica. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Next slide to the presentation. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what it is or what it takes to naturalize as a veteran, right? And I'm going to go over general requirements and then leave time at the end for questions that people might have in regard to your own process. Before I get started, I want to go over the general requirements of what it is to naturalize in the United States. A lot of these requirements are similar to what you will see in the military contents with some differences here and there. But I wanted to start with these so we could get grounded as to what it takes, right? So someone in the United States is able to naturalize if they are a lawful permanent resident, right? So someone who has a green card in the United States, they would have to have had the green card for 5 years before they are able to apply for naturalization. Out of those 5 years, they have to show that they've continuously resided here in the United States. What does that mean? It means that they have an address here in the United States. They have set up their life, right? They are working, whatnot. Out of those 5 years, they have to show that they've been physically present for half of that time, so 2.5 years or 30 months, right? Because it's understandable that people travel, they go visit family members abroad. But they have to show that they've been here at least 2.5 years of that time. If they don't meet that requirement, then you have to wait until you make that time up. Additionally, people have to show that they've had good moral character for the 5 years prior to filing their naturalization application. Good moral character, there's not a set definition as to what it is. But you definitely, there's certain things that would bar people from having good moral character, like certain interaction with law enforcement or crimes, as well as, maybe not paying their income taxes kind of thing, right? So there's a list of it. Some of them, you could explain away. Some of them you would have to wait until you make the 5 years before you're able to apply again. Additionally, you will have to pass a civics and history test, right? So it's questions around the United States history and the United States government, and you have to demonstrate you have knowledge of the English language unless you meet one of the exceptions, right? And one of the exceptions, for example, is someone who's had a green card, for over 20 years and is above 50 years old, for example, then they wouldn't have to meet the English requirement. They would still have to pass the civics and history test, but they could do it in their own language or their primary language. Additionally, once you apply for naturalization and you pass the interview aspect of it, then you also have to take an oath of allegiance to the United States, saying that you are here, right, and you abide by the laws of the Constitution. All individuals who are filing for naturalization would have to pay a fee of $725 to apply, unless they are able to qualify for a fee waiver. So in immigration, there's certain things that people are able to get a fee waiver for, and that way they don't have to pay the filing fee. I do want to take a moment here to note that this is going to change starting October 2nd of 2020. There was a new fee rule announced. So the naturalization cost will no longer be $725. It's going to go up to over $1,000, and access to a fee waiver will be less. And this is just for the general population. As we will see for naturalization, for naturalization for military individuals, there is a different process and the fee. Next slide, please. Okay, so now I'm going to go over the requirements for naturalizing as a military veteran. Next slide. Okay. So I'm briefly going to go over those who are in active duty, and then I'm going to go over the requirements of those who are veterans. Next slide, please. So individuals who are active duty in the military, right, so they're currently serving right now, the requirements for them to become, to naturalize in the United States, they also, just like general population, have to show some knowledge of the English language. They will also have to pass a U.S. history and government test. They would have to show that they are a person of good moral character. And this is where we split in differences, right? Individuals who serve during what has been deemed a time of peace, and individuals who serve during what has been deemed a time of hostility. Later on, I'm going to go over what dates that includes. But generally, for individuals who are serving during peacetime, they have to show good moral character for 5 years prior to filing, and then those in hostilities generally is about 1 year prior to filing their application. They will also have to show that they support the U.S. Constitution, right? So they are willing to support the laws and uphold the laws. Next slide, please. This is the first where we see a distinction from the general requirements to naturalize. One of them being that for individuals who are in active duty and part of the military, right, they don't have to show physical presence. So that requirement that I had said that you had to be here for at least half of the 5 years, right, the 30 months or 2.5 years, you don't have to show that. And then you also don't have to meet the continuous residence requirement, right? So it's understood that you might be deployed somewhere, right? And haven't been here for the 5 years of continuous residence, but that's not required when you apply as an active duty member. Next slide, please. Okay, so what are the different for a veteran that's trying to naturalize? Next slide, please. Okay, so there are two sets of requirements for veterans, right, who are trying to naturalize. So those who are doing it, who served during a time of peace, and then those who are trying to naturalize who served during a time of hostility. So under immigration law, a time of hostility is defined as the time periods listed here, right? So September 1st, 1939 to December 31st, 1946, June 25th to 1950, July 1st to 1955. 1961, February 28th to 1978. And I want to note that presently it's been decided by the president that we are in a time of hostility. So anybody who has served after September 11 of 2001, who served any time within there would be considered to have served during a time of hostility. And this would change according to what the president decides. So if the president tomorrow decides that we're no longer in a time of hostility, then the new time period would be September 11, 2001 until whatever the date is tomorrow, right? And it's important to note this because though the requirements are similar, like I've mentioned, similar to the general public and similar to those in active duty, serving in a time of hostility does give some advantages to individuals, or there are some changes that you need to keep a note of. Next slide, please. Okay, so veterans who served during a time of peace or during peacetime, right? The requirements for them to be able to naturalize is that they have to show that they served honorably, right? During a period of peacetime in the U.S. Armed Forces for 1 year. And this could be 1 year continuously. It could be, you served for 6 months, then took a break and then came back and served for another 6 months, making a year, but it has to add up to 1 year. And you have to show that your time in service was honorably, right? So when you are showing your discharge papers, which I'll talk about later, that you have to submit with your naturalization application, you have to show that you were honorably discharged. You have to be an LPR or a green card holder, a lawful permanent resident, right? So you will have to show proof that you have status or this status in order to be able to naturalize. You also have to meet the residence and physical presence requirement, right? So as I noted in the active duty naturalization, for those individuals, they don't have to show the residence or the physical presence, right, of the 5 years of residence, 2.5 years of physical presence requirements. For a veteran who served during peacetime, they do have to meet this requirement. They have to show that they've been here continuously, and people do this by showing where they have lived for the past 5 years, listing their addresses, and then also listing the trips that they've taken within the last 5 years to make sure that you have that physical presence, right? You have to show that you have knowledge of the English language and that you have knowledge of U.S. history and government. So it's that civics test again, where you're asked. Individuals who naturalize have to pass this test. They are told to study 100 questions, right? Out of those 100 questions, they're asked 10 and they have to get 6 correct before they're able to show that they passed this requirement and are granted naturalization. Additionally, they have to show good moral character for the 5 years before filing, right? So you have to show that you haven't broken any rules or taken any action that would bar you from proving that you are a person of good moral character. And you have to show that you're 18 years of age or older. I noted that I forgot to note this in the general naturalization requirements, right? So someone to naturalize, they also have to be over 18. And you have to wait until you're 18 to file your application. It's the same with people who serve during peacetime. I do want to note a key difference here from general naturalization is the fact that there's no fee. People don't have to pay the $725 to apply for naturalization. Veterans are able to submit with no fee, which is great, especially now that we're seeing the fee go up to over $1,000 and people not have access to the fee waiver. This is going to be different, right? So veterans will be able to continue to qualify for no fee. Next slide. Okay, so those individuals who served during a period of hostility, once again, they have to show that they've served honorably for the time that they were in the U.S. Armed Forces. Here, they have to show that they've served for at least 180 days, right? It's not the complete 1 year like it was for veterans in peacetime. And if they're in the selective service, they have to show that they served for at least 1 year, right? And it was honorable service. Here, there's another key difference, right? So as we saw with the veterans in peacetime, the individual had to be a lawful permanent resident before they could apply to naturalize. Here, the individual could either be a lawful permanent resident or they could show that they were physically present in the U.S. or its outlying possessions at the time of enlistment, right? Or re-enlistment or extension of the service. So they could show that they, where they were when they enlisted in the military, that they were, in fact, in a possession of the United States or in the United States. And this they could use to apply for naturalization, without having to have a green card. There's also no continuous resident requirement or physical presence requirement for someone to apply under serving during hostility. If there's been a while since you served, you might have to list this as well, but generally there's no requirement of it. And you only have to show 1 year of good moral character preceding, the filing of your application. So before where it was, 5 years, this one is only 1 year. I do want to note though that there's been some discussion as to what the actual period of good moral character is. So individuals who serve might have to still show the 5 years, but generally it's not required. I also want to note this different that, there's no age requirement for people to naturalize after serving during hostility, where the other one you had to have been 18. This one you don't have an age requirement. And once again, there is no fee. Next slide, please. Okay, and here I just wanted to make a table with the differences of those who are naturalizing as the general public or those in peacetime, as well as people in who are naturalizing who serve during hostilities, right? So, like I noted, people who are served during peacetime, they have to show that they served for at least 1 year and they were honorably discharged. Those in hostility, right, it's 180 days or 1 year of service in selected reserve, right? There's also an age requirement for those who are naturalizing as the general public of 18. It's the same one for those in peacetime, but there's no minimum age requirement for people who serve during hostilities. For the general public, you have to be a lawful permanent resident or a green card holder. And for people who served in peacetime, they have to be this as well. And for people in hostility, you don't have to have been a lawful permanent resident before you apply for naturalization, but you do have to show that you enlisted in the U.S. territory or you were in the U.S. when you enlisted. Continuous residence is the same for people in peacetime as the general public of 5 years. There's none for those serving in hostility. Physical presence, 2.5 years or 30 months, right? same for peacetime as there were for the general public, none for hostility. And then good moral character, we see the difference in those who served during hostility of 1 year versus the 5 years. And veterans in general, regardless of whether you served during peacetime or during hostility, you don't have to pay the $725. So you are able to apply and not have to worry about that fee or submitting a fee waiver. Next slide, please. Okay, so what does the application process look like for someone who's submitting as a veteran? Next slide, please. Okay, so I want to note that for someone who's naturalizing, who is part of the general public, right, usually how the application process goes, they fill out the form N400, which is the application to naturalize. The N400 collects your biographical information, right? It collects where you have lived for the past 5 years, information about your children, any trips you have taken, as well as it has a long list of questions to check if you've either had any contact with law enforcement or have been convicted of anything or fall into a ground that might not make you eligible to naturalize, right? So it's about a 20-page application. When filling it out, you should definitely go talk to a legal service provider to help you and make sure that there wouldn't be any problems that come up with your naturalization packet, right? And usually people who are naturalizing as part of the general public only have to submit that N400 application with a copy of their green card and any other documentation that might be needed to prove that they're eligible to naturalize, right? On the other hand, for people who are naturalizing as part of the military, right, or as veterans, they have to submit the same N400 application, but the difference here is that they have to include what is known as the form N426 or their discharge papers, right, if they're veterans. And the reason that they have to do this is to prove that they in fact served, right? And that they in fact served and were honorably discharged from the military. So this would be included as well with other supporting documents like your green card if it's needed, or your proof of enlistment, right? If you don't have the green card to make your military naturalization application. So you need this extra step that people in the general public don't need. But like I mentioned, you will need to submit a filing fee, which people in the general public do. This naturalization application will be mailed to a specific office that handles all other military applications so that you're able to get your application process. Next slide, please. So like I mentioned, what documentation is needed, the N426, right? If you are still serving, you're in active duty right now, attempting to naturalize, this has to be certified by the secretary of the applicable military department that you're a part of, or the service member's commanding officer, right? So this must be certified before it's submitted to USCIS because it collects information around your time of service as well as whether you've been in honorable service or not. This form is also submitted when someone submits as a veteran, but it does not have to be certified. What's submitted as a veteran is also your discharge papers, right? So a DD-214 or NGB-22. And this also shows when you served in the military, right? It also shows how you were discharged. So this is submitted with your application so that it's included at the time of your filing. Next slide, please. Okay, so I just wanted to show which sections actually have to be completed when you're doing the N426, right? So part 3, which shows what periods you were serving in the military, right, or are serving actively right now. And then also what was your, the character of your service would have to be submitted. If you are still actively in the military, right, then you would have to also get the certified before you are able to complete and submit your naturalization application. If you are a veteran, you don't have to wait for that step before you submit. Next slide, please. And then here, I just wanted to give an example. I'm sure you all are more familiar with this than I am, right? But this is what a veteran would submit, as part of their application, the DD-214. And this, if you don't have a copy with you, you could get it at your local Veterans Affairs office, right? We've also heard that you could get it through the National Archives, but that might be a longer process than if you just contact your local Veterans office. And then all this is submitted and sent with your application for naturalization. After the application is submitted, the process usually takes a few months. It's supposed to take about 8 months, but right now we are seeing a backlog in naturalization that hopefully will change. Individuals who submit their application are then asked to do a biometrics appointment, right, to get the fingerprints, and then go to an interview where you're asked about your application to make sure the information you submitted is in fact correct. At this interview, it's where you will also get the English test of it, and as well as the U.S. History and government test. Once an individual passes that, then they are given an appointment for a ceremony to take their oath of allegiance to the United States. That is where you become a U.S. citizen at that time, and you're issued a certificate of naturalization. So I will leave it there, and we will open up for questions. Next slide.
Very good. Thank you, Veronica. This is Xochitl. So we'll open up to the Q&A session. I will have my team read out the questions, and if I can have questions that are oriented to legal services, we'll have our legal service providers assist with those questions, please. So folks, just a reminder that our presentation will be available following this event. And I will, in looking at the presentations, there's some very good information. And one of the things that I think about is in the past, having helped folks fill out those applications, is that there's a lot of paperwork. You want to have saved copies of your paperwork and consolidate and keep it together. That'll help you get through the process a lot smoother. Okay, so Jose, if I can have you guys on your end read out the questions, and then our service providers and us as staff at Calvet will help answer those.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. Again, we do encourage everyone to utilize the chat feature if you do have a question throughout this duration. Our first question comes from Claudia. Does the free legal help or low-cost service offered apply for veterans or spouses? That's for any of the legal service provider teams.
So free, it's free for anyone in California. So it's pretty much open to anyone. So that's the services. If there's any fees that may USCIS may collect, then that's something that the family will have to bear if there's no fee waivers for it. But our services, especially under One California, the ones I just mentioned, they're free to anyone in California, especially to veterans.
Okay, very good. Our next question, wife is a German citizen with permanent resident status. My son, not biological, is also a German citizen with permanent residency. We have been in California since December 2011 and looking to get my son and wife naturalized. Also, is there help with the adoption of my son?
This might be a, let me check. I guess I wanted to know the age of his son, if he's under or over 18, because he might be a citizen already if you went through the whole entire adoption process. there's a way. We just have to include that extra step. If you're still
Yes,
under 18.
yeah, he's under 18.
Okay.
Can I talk? Can you hear me?
Is this
Hey,
Francisco?
Francisco.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, he is. He's 14. We've been
Okay.
here for some time, and it's time for us to get this the citizenship paperwork done. So we're ready for that. I'm just hoping that during that process, maybe there's a bridge to the adoption process. Since he is a German citizen, there is no a father on the paperwork. So I don't on the birth certificate. So I don't know if I can just sign that or how that would work. I just need some guidance in reference to that. But again, for the citizenship, I really do want to get that done before October. At least pay the fees.
So for your wife, she might be good to go. She won't have any issue. It's been for more than 5 years already. We just have to screen her for other situations that may affect her, like good moral character, and she has been out of the country for more than one. Veronica mentioned the allotted time. But for your son, I guess I will have to screen more on your. What I'm trying to, I think it would be better if we make an appointment, because I don't want to I don't want you to give information, especially because this information it's sensitive and it's gonna be public. So what we'll do is we'll follow up with you individually.
Okay.
And now we can get the whole fact pattern together. So
okay.
I'll write my email in the chat box, and then we can set up an appointment. That way, I'll capture all your information, and then we'll do the analysis. But your wife
Right on. I got the info, and I will be reaching out, brother. Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, I had a question for you folks. When I got back from Saudi, I had run into some legal problems and whatnot. And what happened is that I got everything expunged and removed, dismissed, and whatnot. So I'm wondering now, but I also found out that it's 1 year that I had to have, put it that way, I had to have good moral character, correct? 1 year prior to me filing. So we could go back to 2018, 2019, and to see what my moral character was, because I haven't gotten anything else since 2010.
Okay.
See?
And your name, sir?
My name is Rene Duran.
Okay, Mr. Duran. So same thing. Immigration is going to require you to provide that information, but what we'll do is screen you thoroughly. If it's only, in your case, if it's only that year that you need to prove you're going to good moral character and you have anything else, you still need to provide that information from your past. It makes it easier if you sponge it, but we still want to make sure that those things will not affect you during the time of their interview. So we can assist you with that.
Okay, so I live in Fresno. With
okay,
whom?
perfect.
Are you guys in Fresno? Because I've tried reaching out down south to San Bernardino area. Then they referred me over to Catholic Charities, and I called them, and they don't answer. I've called other folks, and I got the runaround. So yeah, I'd like to find out where you guys are, so I could get a hold of you.
Okay, so I just posted our number again on the message box. Just ask for me, and then we'll set up an appointment.
Okay, Javier.
Your discharge papers.
DD 214.
Yes.
All right, very good, sir. Okay, thank you.
If I don't answer, they'll take your message, and then I'll call you back. But you can email me. Email is better, because then we communicate directly. And if I'm not here at the office, they'll just leave a message on desk, and then I'll get back to you.
Okay, you're making it pretty good. So your email, was that on one of the screens?
X Vasquez Education Leadership.org. I just put it on the little chat part of the screen.
Renee, this is Jose from Calvet. We will also make sure that you get his contact information and follow up with you just to make sure you have all the information needed.
Hello.
And folks, we have some noise in the background. I'm not sure if it's driving. If we can limit the noise, thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. The next question that we have is as follow. For the spouses of veteran earn their GC through green card through marriage, they can apply in their 3 years of residency, right?
Yes, they can do it actually 3 months before the third year. So they can do that.
Okay.
We just have to prove that they're still married to their U.S. citizen spouse with any information they have to get their bank accounts, and if they have any children, have to prove that they're still married and living together at the time of filing the application and at the time of the interview. So, but same thing. So everyone will have to be screened because each case is specific. And it will require specific information to provide based on your case and your situation. So, but yeah, they can contact us. We can help them fill out the application for their spouse. Certain information regarding their case.
Thank you so much for that, Javier. Our next question is as follow. If a military member and out of the country for 1 to 2 years on duty, does that count against them with RE 5 years?
Could you hear the last part?
I'll repeat it again, Javier. Sorry about that. If a military member,
I found the question. That's Nancy's questions, right?
Yes, Nancy. Yes.
Yeah. So as Veronica mentioned, if you're on duty, the continuous residence requirement and the presence requirement will not apply to you if you're an active member. So you don't have to prove the continuous residence if you have been deployed or you're in active duty right now. So it wouldn't apply to you. It wouldn't hurt you because technically the base are considered U.S. territory.
Okay. Thank you, Javier. Next question, veteran spouse naturalization requirements eligibility, current permanent resident.
So again, it just depends on how many years you have been married with your U.S. citizen spouse, but you can apply as early as 3 years, as I mentioned before. If you have been married for more than 5 years, you don't need your spouse to kind of like tie into your process because you already met the 5-year requirement. But if you want to do under the 3-year rule, you will need to prove, again, as I mentioned, that you're still married to the U.S. citizen or veteran in this case, and just prove that you guys are still together, again, through any documents, both of them may have bank accounts, children, their birth certificates, any bills. So again, it's pretty straightforward.
Very good.
Having a legal permanent resident for 5 years already, you don't need your spouse. But if you're not there, you can do it 3 months before the 3rd year. If you're in your 4th year, you're still required to do it through your spouse. So again, we'll know by the information on your green card when do you become a legal permanent resident.
Thank you, Javier. Our next question, can you elaborate more on what selective service is?
So any male, I don't know if someone else has the actual definition, but
yes, I can help out, Javier. So the selective service refers to the draft. We have a selective service system. That's the agency that registers men in case we were to go into a national emergency, a sudden war outbreak. What it does is it's a mandatory enrollment of individuals into the military or armed forces, and it applies to all men between the ages of 18 to 25 who are immigrants or U.S. citizens living in the U.S. And so once males reach that age of 18, they're required to register for the system in case there is a draft. We've been on a volunteer basis to join the military since 1973, but nonetheless, the selective service is in place in case Congress needs to call folks to go to war in the case of a national emergency. And if anyone requires more information on the selective service, they do have a website. It is sss.gov. Again, sss.gov. And so currently, as the law is written, this only applies to male candidates, and there is more information on who needs to register and the process of the draft in that website.
And to my understanding, for some folks that are not in the military or very veterans, this information is required to submit it, like to get financial aid or other benefits through the federal government. So I know that 'cause I had to do that. But again, I had to raise. I was required to register once I turned 18. So it's between the ages of 18 and 26, right? And obviously, if you're a veteran and or currently serving, this probably was taken care of once you started.
Yes, thank you, Javier. I hope that answers the question, folks. But like I said, feel free to visit the Selective Service System website, SSS.gov.
And for the purposes of naturalization, there is a person that males need to provide for selective service. So if people don't have that, that might be an issue. However, that issue may be because they maybe didn't have legal status back then between the ages of 18 and 26. So we'll have to write a declaration there that states, I didn't know I had to register, or I didn't have legal status, and back then required me to register with a social security number. So it just depends on the circumstances. But again, if you're a veteran or you're currently serving, that shouldn't be an issue. But for other purposes, like if your father wants to become a citizen, or any civilian who's not in the military or who's a veteran and it did not register, it's going to be an issue. But if it was
Very good. Thank you, Javier. Thank you, Sochi.
If he didn't obey the if he tried to not to register, he did on his own. So
very good. The next question, Javier or Veronica, what will an expired green card affect being naturalized through military service?
I never handled one of this, but I have handled just a regular naturalization. So at least here, I know here in our local office in Fresno is not an issue, but this is something that immigration officers may give you a hard time, especially if it's not your current green card is not updated. However, you do not lose your legal permanent status if your green card is expired. So I encourage you to renew it if you don't plan to naturalize. But if you do plan to naturalize anytime soon, and again, it's free. You don't have to do it if you're a veteran or currently serving. But it shouldn't be an issue. At least I know here in Fresno with our regular M400s or regular naturalization clients, it had not been an issue. But again, depends on where you live. They might give you a hard time. But I don't want to say certainly that it shouldn't be an issue, but there should be. Again, you're not losing your permanent status.
Thank you, Javier. We'll move on to the next question. The naturalization fee is $725. Is it only free for veterans, not spouses? Sorry, the answer wasn't clear.
I don't know if Veronica is there. She's still there. Yeah. For some reason we can't hear Veronica.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Sorry, what was the question about paying for the application?
Yes, so the question is as follow. The naturalization fee is $725. Is it only free for veterans, not spouses?
From my understanding, it's only for veterans, but I would have to look into it a little more to see if spouses for people who are during active duty, if they wouldn't have to pay. But I could follow up with that information.
Okay, we'll send you the information as well, Veronica, for the person that answered that or asked that question, so we can make sure we follow up with that individual.
Yeah, please do, and I will follow up with them.
Okay, thank you, Veronica.
Mhm.
So the next question is, I live in Glendora, California. Where do I go to get my 400 form and get started for my naturalization?
Again, we can assist you via Zoom or via phone. So you can contact us. You can email me, and I'll send you the link where you can register for our service, so we can get things rolling. We'll screen you. We want to make sure that you qualify for the benefit. There's no legal or negative situation that may affect you, and then we'll get things rolling. So even if you live in San Diego or up north, then that doesn't really matter. This pandemic has taught us to be more to use, our computer a little more. So we can assist you. So just reach out to us, and we'll be happy to assist you and guide you through this route.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm reaching out right now.
Okay. Again, I mean, what I'm saying is I will set up an appointment with you to go over your case individually.
Does this have to be in person?
No. Again, it can be through phone.
Oh, Zoom. Yeah.
It can be a Zoom.
Okay.
I would know your information. So again,
yeah,
if you want to, I can take your information right now, and then I can set up something.
Sometimes I wonder if it might be complicated. I've been trying this for a while. My father was an American. He was born here in the U.S., but he's deceased now. I served during the Vietnam War. It's been a long time. I think this is long overdue.
Okay.
But all this time I thought I was already a citizen. I served 7 years in the Marines. I thought I was already. Pardon me?
You might. That's why it's important that we review your case very thoroughly, because if you already are a citizen, you just need to apply for your certificate of citizenship.
Right.
And if you don't, then we need to just go through the regular process. It might be complicated in terms of, because your dad already passed. We might need to get information from here to cover certain dates. So again, we'll discuss that.
I have his birth certificate. I have a lot of his information. He was born back in 1916.
Wow.
That's a long time. Anyways, I just recently had to renew my permanent residence, which is, it's not called a green card. It's not called a green card anymore. It's called a pink card. For some reason, I don't know. They don't call it green cards anymore. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't know if you was aware of that.
I mean, they're green still. So they used to be green in like 1990s, and then they were white, and then they were green, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're green right now. The new ones are green, but we can assist you, sir, with that. Again, depending on your life events, where you're at, and where were you born?
In Mexicali. What year? What year?
No, I was just saying the country.
Oh,
but
okay.
Again, might be a citizen already, but again, certain factors may have certain life events on your case, and then that must be met. If you're already a citizen, if not, we have to apply through the regular process. So
yeah, I've just had a year ago. I had my biometrics with Homeland Security, got my card in and all that, but I don't want to stop there, because
No.
I,
You
I don't. I want my citizenship. I think it's long overdue to me.
Yep. Again, we walk you through the process, every stage, and then we'll ask you for specific requirements depending on your case and paperwork you need to get to us.
So how do we Zoom? When do we Zoom?
Again, if you give me your number or you want to reach out directly.
I'll give my number, 626
626
629 6144.
Okay, and your name again? I'm sorry.
Hilario. That's Hilario Adame. ADAME.
Okay. Again, 626 629 6144.
626 629 6144.
Okay, perfect. So I'll contact you to set up an appointment. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Javier.
No
Thank you. You have a blessed day.
Thank you so much, Hilario. Thank you so much, Javier. Our next question is pertaining to, with regards to the years of service requirements, how do reserves or National Guard accrue their years in service? Is it by just being in the reserve or guard, or is it by their drill attendance?
So I can answer a bit to that. I'm wondering if the question is tied into, how this may or may not affect naturalization or citizenship. But in the national, at least I'll speak to the Army Reserve. I'll back up on that one. And this likely applies to the National Guard. To be eligible for a lot of the federal benefits, you have to have what it is 6 good years in service once you you get discharged from the military. Let's just say you finish your first term, you don't re-enlist, and you want to apply for a VA home loan. One of the requirements to be eligible is to have those 6 good years in service, and you want to connect with a retention officer if you have more questions on this, and even recruiters. You want to make sure that you have at least those 6 good years, and that is calculated based on when you enter in the military. And from that date, especially when you enter the payroll system in the military, you have 6 good years of continued good attendance as a drilling reservist or guard member. And that way, when you leave, you have the minimum required points within each year that are considered, and that will qualify you as having 1 good year. But at the end, when you complete your service, you need to have the good 6 years. I mean, that's the short answer. Like I said, if there's a question and the attendee wants to elaborate on how this is tied to naturalization or citizenship, we want to make sure we do elaborate if you're still on the webinar. Okay, so I don't see a hand raised, but like I said, that's the short answer. Reach out to us, but if you are still in the service or you recently left and you want more information on whether or not you qualify for certain benefits, you're more than welcome to reach out to us.
Another
Okay.
question is there any office in San Diego area?
For services or veteran services?
Didn't specify. Is Cindy Ibarra still on the call and wants to elaborate on that?
Yes, hi, I'm here. It's for, I'm a spouse of active duty spouse.
Is it pertaining to naturalization and citizenship?
Yes, it's naturalization. Back in 2000, I'm sorry, I'm going to give you some background. In 2017, we were stationed in South Korea. When we have 1 year left, I applied and filled out for the naturalization. they give me the interview appointment for December 2018. That was when we came here to San Diego for the new station, when we PCS. That was in December 17, 2018. So when we went to the appointment, they asked me if we are going back to South Korea, and we just PCS to San Diego. So they denied me the naturalization because I fill it out through the INA Act. So now I'm going to have 5 years in the United States next November.
Okay. You can definitely reapply. I would suggest also to get a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, request on your case, just to see what you wrote on your last application. But if it's not concerning any crimes or any immigration violations, you should be fine. So you can just reapply if you have been living in the country continuously for the past 5 years, and November is going to be your date. So we just have to wait until November to refile.
Okay, is there any office here in San Diego so you can help me with that?
We can help you, or I just went to the California Department of Social Services, and I just posted the link for the San Diego area contractors or the organizations that can provide you services in the San Diego area. You can contact them, but if you don't have no luck, because again, I don't want to speak for the rest of the offices, but you know, they all I'm pretty sure they're busy right now and things are complicated with the COVID, but we try to be we try to make not things complicated. So if you don't get luck in the other organizations, if you don't reach out to them, you don't get any response from them, you can always reach out to us and we can help you here from Fresno through Zoom and help you fill out your application. So we're happy to do that. But I just posted the link for the San Diego, the list of the San Diego providers.
Thank you.
Our next question is as follow. On the form N426, is part 1 and 3 the only area that needs to be filled out for submitting with the DD-214?
Beto, I don't know if you're there, because I know in the past we only had to provide the discharge document, and that was sufficient. But if people don't have that, they need to provide the N436 sign, where those are the parts that state when the person served, and then the information on the applicant, and obviously the signature from whoever the command officer is. And we haven't had issues with that if we submit either or. If they have both, in the past we have had applicants submitting both of them. It's not an issue. But if you only have your discharge document, that should be sufficient.
And then the last question that I see is, can all the additional links be added to the notes when the presentation is sent out? Yes, we can definitely do that. We will send out the links pertaining to what Javier and Veronica have shared. And if there's any other questions pertaining to the information that we send out, if something's not clear or more information, or if we missed one of the links, by all means, please reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to send out that information or direct you in the right direction with Veto's contact information, or redirecting you with Javier.
Okay, thank you very much, Jose. I think that's the end of our questions, right? As you mentioned.
Oh, sorry, ma'am. I see one more coming in.
Let's go.
Yes,
We'll do one more, and if there's one more after this one, we'll take that one up, and then we'll wrap it up, folks. Thank you.
okay. So Javier, I started an enlistment process with the Air Force. Should I wait to finish the BTM or fill the naturalization? I'm asking because I am the spouse of a veteran. I have filled for adjustment of status through marriage. I understood we have to pay the USCIS fees ourselves. So if something goes wrong with the application for any reason, they deny it or complicate the process, would you be able to help us?
Okay, so there are two questions. So one is for Cindy Barra. So
sorry about that. Yes.
So Cindy, I think you should wait until you actually are in the Air Force. That way you don't have to pay because you're not considered. You will not consider being active duty if you're not already enlisted. So just finish your process, your initial process, and then just wait and then just file. Because if not, we have to select that you're just filing for the regular 5-year and not as a member of the armed forces. And then for Claudia, so it's complicated because usually we don't take or we don't try to take cases that have been already filed. Because we don't know who helped them at the beginning. Hopefully, someone who has the legal knowledge and understanding of immigration law, hence an accredited organization or an attorney. I mean, we can check your case just to see that everything was submitted properly. But there's very reason why I'm saying that is just because it just depending on how questions were answered, depending on your situation as someone who's trying to get their green card. They need to be answered in a certain way that doesn't affect your case if there's issues with that. So I know adjustment status can be complicated during the process and at the interview. So we just want to make sure that you corroborate your information once you get to your interview, because at the interview they're gonna be being asking you these questions. They're going to be grilling you. But if they deny your process, something that may happen is that they might give you an NTA, which is notice to appear. So they'll send you to immigration proceedings. So that's why we usually don't take cases that we just file in case your adjustment status gets denied. But we can certainly review your case, and I can give you some information, just general information on what to do during your interview, and then we can go from there. So I guess I want to know why you became eligible to adjust your status. Do you file for PREP before applying for adjustment status? So I want to know more about your case, so we can set up an appointment, and I can guide you on those things.
Okay, can I talk? Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I got legal help from a lawyer that was something that we could afford, let me put it that way. And that person just helped me out to fill out the papers because kind of complicated, and my husband works full time. So, but she's not gonna help me any further. She just helped us fill all the information. Yes, that's what I would like to do. I'd like to make an appointment with you. We'll call you. I have your number, and we just wanted to know if we would have to pay for your help with just further in the process. Basically, we just filed today. Yes, so that we didn't know about this until a little bit earlier. So that's why, yeah, we just filed and.
And you kept a copy of everything?
Yes, I can ask her for that. I can ask her for a copy of everything. What do you mean exactly? You mean the files?
Well, these immigration applications that you filed, because that's going to be key. I mean, the proof, you can submit the day of interview more proof for your case.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that the applications were correctly filed, and I want to see how you answer certain questions. So that's why it's like I want to get to know your case.
Okay.
Just,
Yes.
there's things that may arise the day of your interview, so we'll go from there.
Okay,
But,
and my question would be, would that be free, or would we have to pay for it? My husband is a veteran.
The consultation is free.
Uh-huh.
I'm not saying whether we're going to take your case or not right now.
Okay,
It just
no, good.
will depend on how your case turns out to be, or I mean, I'm hoping that it was filed correctly. That way you don't run into issues. So again, we'll let you know the day of your once we get to know the information, and if that's something we can handle, we can assist you up to the day of your interview. And you live where?
We live in Sacramento.
Oh, okay, so it's like up north. So you're not far from us. So yeah, we can start from there, and then we'll let you know.
Okay, so we'll call you and make an appointment with you, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem, Claudia.
Okay, anyone else out there with questions? All right. Folks, thank you very much for joining. We are going to make this presentation available on the website. We will email everyone who registered to the event. We'll email you the PowerPoint slides here that'll contain the contact information. If you have questions for us following that email, feel free to reach out. Again, we want to make sure we get you the help that you need. And I want to thank our legal service providers, Javier, Veronica, thank you very much. And of course, our Calvet link and Caltap coordinator. Appreciate it. Stay safe. Labor Day is right around the corner, folks. So remember everywhere you go to cover up and keep your family safe and healthy. Thank you very much again. It was a pleasure having you today.